audience, and welcome back to our next panel session. And I would like to welcome our panelists for this session, Dr. Ingrid Vasily Feltis, Ms. Lisa Cashmore, Mr. Prasanna Lohar, who will be joining us soon, and our moderator for today, Ms. Levina Ramkisson, for this session on how to create value for innovators and startups for competence development. And before I hand over the stage to Ms. Levina, I would like to briefly introduce our panel members. Dr. Ingrid Vasily Feltis is a healthcare executive, a futurist and globalist who is highly dedicated to digital and ethics advocacy. Dr. Ingrid is currently serving as a country director for WBAF USA and senator of WBAF, and she's also a faculty member of the WBAF Business School Division of Entrepreneurship and teaching the Executive MBA Business Technology course at the UM Business School. This past year, she has been named one of the top 100 global healthcare leaders, top 100 global finance leaders, and top 100 women in crypto, and appointed to the board of UN Legal and Economic Empowerment Network. She's also acting as the Chief Ethics Officer for GBA Global, Senator, and as the Chief Quality and Safety Officer at Mednax. So she comes with a wide range of knowledge and competencies. And next up, we have Ms. Lisa Cashmore. She's an influential and energetic community specialist, known for inspiring successful national and international relationships. And Ms. Lisa builds upon over a decade of cross-sector experience helping organizations commercialize across global markets. Ms. Lisa is the Vice President of Start and Scale at Communitech, which is a Canadian organization based in Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario, that helps technology companies start, grow, and succeed. Ms. Lisa is also a proud board member at the Accelerator Centre in Waterloo, Ontario. And she is featured in a Forbes article on how she runs a peer mentorship network. And she's also listed as one of the top 80 women and non-binary people in Canada to follow. And we also have with us Mr. Prasanna, who will be joining us shortly. So he's the Chief Innovation Officer at DCP Bank and falls under the top 50 CIOs, top 100 innovative CIOs, and the Digital Leader of the Year. And Mr. Prasanna launched the global innovation program called DCB Bank Innovation Carnival, which will bring on unique experience of innovation generation through hackathons and accelerator programs in India. And lastly, we have with us our moderator for today, Ms. Levina Ramkisson. She's a thought leader in pioneering technology, passionate about humanity, technology, economics, and dance. And besides the 20 years of experience in technology, she holds added knowledge in the fields of psychology and artificial intelligence. She is an AI ethics mentor and driver for Africa's artificial intelligence potential. And her mission is to create meaningful, innovative solutions to help shape the African continent. Her specialization, besides being a podcast guest, is in emerging technology spaces, including agri-tech, fintech, health tech, law tech, and growing. She's also the current Director General for the African Continent, GCPIT. So it's a pleasure to have you all with us today. And with that, the floor is all yours, Ms. Levina.
Wow, thank you so much, Ms. Mishma, for that amazing introduction for each one of our guests, and a warm welcome to you all. If we can sort of kick off the session, maybe with Ms. Ingrid, we're going to do a bit of a three-word kind of scenario. I guess competence development is quite a large area, and with the latest of it being inclusive of ethics, fairness, diversity, and transparency. If you could describe in 3 words how to create value competency in developments or within startups, what would those 3 words be? And this is for all of the panelists, but we'll start with Dr. Ingrid.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, and it's a pleasure to be with all of you today. If I had to just pick 3 words, I think I would say purpose, I would say sustainability, and integrity. Those are 3 things that have been very important in my career experience. And I think if in the entrepreneurship ecosystem, you are able to instill those in the upcoming entrepreneurs, it helps them no matter what industry they're in. So I I've always encouraged those, and I think they lend themselves to any stage in the entrepreneurship ecosystem as well. So no matter if you are a startup, a scale up, if you've been in business for many years, if you plan to grow in new industries or new markets, I do believe that having those three as a guiding post or as a North Star is helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Ingrid. How about Miss Lisa? Your 3 keywords.
3 keywords is really tough. There are a lot of words that need to be used. Although I do align quite nicely with the words that Ingrid shared as well. I would say focus. There's lots of distractions out there when it comes to building your company, and I see companies chasing too many things in too many different directions. So focus would be one. Customer would be another. I think, again, we don't see our companies doing enough customer research, either in advance of choosing the market that they want to tackle or even along the entire customer journey. And then I had the exact same word as Ingrid as far as integrity goes. At Communitech, we have a really strict focus on tech for good. And we always make sure that the companies we're working with are focused on building companies that will, not only make them money, not only help the economy, but also to account the importance of helping the world and doing good by the companies that they're building.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important point in terms of integrity, because it's something that's somewhat driving us, especially within the technology sector. So if I could go to Mr. Parsana, if you could have 3 keywords for us around competence development for startups, what would those be?
Yeah, I think first of all, thank you so much for inviting me here with so many experts out here, I can say. I'm glad to be part of this session. Okay, so coming back, 3 values or three keywords as far as startups or entrepreneurship is concerned. I'll go for first of all collaboration. Okay, so you being a startup, when you start your journey, you cannot really sustain yourself. You need to collaborate with the industry. You need to have a right set of mentors around you. You need to have other startups to collaborate with you so that you can create a coexisting software or products for your for your business model. Another word I'll talk about innovation. Keep on innovating from the day one, right? So whatever you are building, it should be valuable for your society. I will go with that sustainability keyword also. But innovation is meaningful only if you are really doing something for society. It shouldn't be that you are building another phone pay or another Google Pay. It may be an innovation for a certain to an extent, but if you're really not giving something back to your society, considering 17 Sustainable Development Guidelines, which are the motto for most of our countries, so I think bringing a right kind of innovation should be the priority for any of the startups. Last thing I will look at it's like like reskilling. Keep on reskilling yourself. Today's skills may not be or may be absolute after five years down the line. And what we have seen, the top 10 skills which is being published by World Economic Forum says that some of those skills are already absolute. Today you have a very good IQ, but having an emotional intelligence really helpful or useful for all of these CEOs and entrepreneurs. How to deal with people within your organization, outside of the organization. It's another kind of a skill. So I think keep on reskilling so that you should not become absolute, just like Nokia's or Yahoo's, and be there just like Google's or Amazon's, and look at how the customer is moving ahead, what customer is expecting. So in a nutshell, I will go for your collaboration and innovation and keep reskilling so that you have a sustainable future for you and as well as your country and human beings. Yeah, thank you so much.
Wow, I love it. I really love these 3 answers. I know it put you guys on the spot, but I think in a nutshell, it really brought home some key points. And if we can sort of dive into it a bit, Dr. Ingrid, when we talk about government approaches to promoting entrepreneurship, how do you think that these can actually be then enhanced?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in public-private partnerships. I think there you can leverage the best out of all the worlds. I think we can all find a lot of things we wish to improve if you just do government grants. And I think also there are negatives if you just have private equity or any other private funding. But I'm a big believer that if we promote public-private partnerships, entrepreneurship ecosystem, it's the best sustainable model. And that is because of a variety of reasons. But more importantly, I think it by definition then allows you to address the whole ecosystem. I think if we just have one source of funding, we're tied in a way a little bit limited by the guidelines and the compliance issues that are unique to that environment. If you do a partnership, by definition, you already are able to move a little bit more nimble and more agile to expand the ecosystem as the business and the market and the consumers demand. So I would pick that if I had my choice. Thank you.
Excellent. Talking about, being collaborative, I guess, in your space, Ms. Lisa, especially around the marketing sector, how do you think that this can be practically achieved? This collaboration, the sense of us achieving impact for good that everyone seems to be talking about, but maybe we really don't understand how to actually achieve it.
I think one of the things we focus on at Communitech really closely is this sense of needing to collaborate across all of the different partners in the ecosystem related to entrepreneurship. So, for example, in Waterloo, where we're based, we have 3 major universities and a college. So lots of different education institutes, which we have partnerships with all of those, and they act as a really strong funnel into our programming, which is more the applied side of education. We also run corporate innovation programs and engage, many of the corporates with not only within our community, but from around the world. And we have something called collaboratives. So they literally are projects that we bring various different partners. It could be academic institutions, government partners, startups and scale-ups, corporates, all together to work on particular issues at hand. So before the pandemic, for example, one of the collaboratives we were working really hard on was the future of work. Because it impacts all of those partners, right? How do the educational institutions keep up with the training to make sure they're heading in the right direction to train our students on how to have the right kinds of jobs for the future of work? How do our startups and scale-ups build companies that are prepared to employ the right kinds of people in the right kinds of roles? So, as we move more to gig workers and freelancers, what does that mean as far as training them and hiring them and building your companies to suit that? And so it's interesting because we pulled this collaborative together with many different partners all tackling this issue. And then the pandemic hits and the future of work is now the current state of work. And so we could have been so much further behind in how we tackled basically moving our businesses forward, but we'd already started to do that work and we're well down the path. And so together, we really can move big issues forward if we're collaborating. So for example, yesterday I hosted a monthly meeting that I always host. It's called Entrepreneurship and Commercialization Meeting. It is everybody who touches entrepreneurship, startups, scale-ups in our entire ecosystem meets once a month. There's no competitiveness. It's really just telling each other, what have we got coming down the pipeline? How can we help each other? And it's, share any upcoming programs or projects you have, and what do you need help with? And then everybody joins into that conversation. And it's a pretty unique situation, I think, but it really moves the needle on projects much more quickly when we can all collaborate with one another.
Wow. Yeah, your answer actually reminds me of a stat that I read recently from Gartner, which said, that the future or the current leaders are not well equipped for the future workforce. So that includes obviously, the likes of robotics and the non-human sort of element. And I think it said something like less than 15% of executives were actually skilled enough to handle that at the current state. So what you're saying is absolutely fundamental. And talking about that sort of future perspective, let's go back to Mr. Parsana. I mean, you come from an industry that's pretty much about 100-year-old sector that hasn't changed or shifted as much, right? So how has competence development, or how do you think that's going to shape this particular industry, especially
Okay.
for the startups?
Yeah, so I think I really agree with you that the banking industry or financial industry has not really changed until 1995, until we had this brick and mortar model, right? Wherein customer who are living in let's say example of India, right, where 70 to 80% of Indians live in villages or something like not in cities. So these guys have to do these avail for these financial services. They have to visit those particular branch. Sometime these guys needs to travel down by walking by 4 to 5 kilometers and reach out to do a transaction of a few bucks, right? So the gone were those days when the internet has become open internet in 1995. And I think since the 2008, like wherein we have seen adoption of Android and iPhone, this customer has become so agile since we have internet and smartphones available in our pocket. uh, in India, what we have seen, banking industry really changed since rise of NPCI, which is National Payment Corporation of India, and most of the products which were available globally, now those products started building in-house. Say example, IMPS, which is an immediate payment transfer, or Unified Payment Interface, which is becoming the backbone for Google Pays or Phone Pays. So most of the digital transactions are happening on this business model. So what I want to say in a nutshell, that customer has really changed. So customer has become agile, and since 2016 post demonetization, what we have seen, digital graph or a digital transaction graph has become very prominent and very multifold. So banking industry has really changed in the last 4 to 5 years, and the startups or fintechs, I must say, typically are the change makers or game changers for this industry. I think gone were those days. Banks, our customers are really going to banks only for a current account, savings account, or even for loans. So I can name at least 50 fintech companies who are giving easy financial access or easy loans. Although banks are backbone for that, what is that ultimately customers are looking for a better customer experience or a better services availability. I think these fintechs are coming wisely and really giving that not only, I would not say competition, but a collaboration. Again, collaboration with the banks with a kind of a APIs or open banking kind of a model. So I think this has become a very good story, at least in India and even outside of India, everywhere. Now coming back, coming back the journey for in the during pandemic time, right? Since last 8 to 10 months within India, I'm not sure how many customers has really visited branches, bank branches, and the guys who were visiting nearest cinema halls or restaurants, everybody started operating on mobile phones to order or to do any of those banking kind of operations. Even that is what is the trigger. Although your customer is become more agile, or your human augmentation is one of those factor which we have seen last 8 to 10 months. Similarly, corporates, banks, financial institutions has really become more digital savvy. I must say, the digital transformation has become digital retransformation. The way they were thinking of transforming this digitalization on internet, on mobile, more and more now we are talking about AI or robotic process automation, or typically eventually we'll see how blockchain kind of a technology will become, and will be one of those backbone for a financial ecosystem. Now, coming back once
Okay.
again, there are some phenomena like decentralized finance companies, DeFi's, or you talk about many of those crypto companies which are ethical cryptos. So, although in some of the countries those are not regulated, but if you really regulate them and utilize that technology which is behind cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum for a good cause, we will save a lot of money, lot of operations in a typical banking industry. Banking industry is riding on your infrastructure followed by operations. We can remove that those operations aspects completely, provided banks should understand how slowly I can really migrate my current banking infrastructure onto a smart blockchain based or AI based infrastructure. Journey has started for some of the countries, some of the banks also, and I think I can see that down the line 5 years we will have certainly very different model when we have variables in our hand. or your car will go and do the financial transaction on themselves on a nearest petrol or a fuel station, or your smart within your smart houses, your electricity is going to pay electricity themselves, right? Today you do payments with your mobile phones, but tomorrow you just wish your electricity is gonna do payments on themselves on first of every month. It's all gonna possible, and that will possible the way how we'll adopt these new competencies, new skills, new emerging technologies. So it's in a nutshell, Lavina, it's very good question. I must say, banks should adopt how consumer is moving ahead. Earlier, organizations like Nokia's, Yahoo's, or those AOLs didn't understand how consumer is moving ahead, and they wiped out with the business models of Google's or iPhones. And banks, similar story can be with the banks if they do not adopt or do not collaborate with the right set of Google's or Geos or phone phase out there in India. Then only they can really sustain or create a sustainable model for those same customers who really want customer experience everywhere. So I think it's very important reskilling, which I was talking about, and creating a reskilled, competent employee at a bank so that he can serve ever-changing customer. And millennial customer is altogether different story. If you really not creating some business model for millennials, they will create their own structure. Although in the back-end banks or those financial 100 plus years old financial institutes are there, but on top of that, they have capacity to really build a very good customer experience out there. So I think, Lavina,
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for your contribution to that. And, it reminds me again of another sort of thing that I've read. And I think, in this finance space, we're talking about, Alexas and the likes of Siri's actually making payments on your behalf. So that's pretty much, where our future is headed. But, at the moment, we find ourselves obviously in this sort of current and / post-pandemic world, where people are definitely collaborating a lot more and starting businesses and driving initiatives for humanity, right? But somehow or the other, we still find ourselves in a very data-rich but information-poor scenario. So, we ask ourselves the question, how much has actually changed? So I guess this is opened up to the panel in terms of where do you see the current trends and gaps? Literally a minute each. Let's start with Dr. Ingrid.
Well, I think trends, we touched on a lot of them. Definitely the automation, digitization, digitalization, digital transformation. All these are embedded deep in the way we live, work, educate. I think we can do a better job in revising the education system. And specifically because our focus is entrepreneurship, I think a education system that is more in harmony with the convergence of technologies that we see would help. Right now, we still educate in silos and in sequences that are not naturally attuned to how we do entrepreneurship. So I feel if we can all come together and develop a more modern educational system, it would help a lot of our entrepreneurs. I actually started some incubators and accelerators for executive MBAs because they all graduate with a beautiful certificate, but then tomorrow morning at 7 they don't know what to do practically. Mm-hmm. So it's really important to reshape, redesign, reinvent how we infuse this type of skill that we talked about, the modern skills that are required in early on in educational systems, even preschool and kindergarten, I would say, so that it really ensures a pipeline. When we talk about long-term sustainability, I do believe that in education, we can also ensure sustainability. So I think in terms of the trends, definitely digitalization, digital innovation, digital transformation are key. And I tend to think about entrepreneurship as a living organism. So it's constantly moving, constantly reshaping, constantly evolving, like we all mentioned. You cannot be static. You need to be agile. You need to tolerate risk. And you need to be very much aware what even the future trends are 2 to 4 years ahead. You can't wait until the trend is here and then adjust. So I always say that in terms of talent management and talent retention and building the future of your workforce, you need to be 2 to 4 years ahead when you plan all the educational systems. And that's tough because right now it's not. Go ahead.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I think, everyone is talking about liquid upskilling at the moment and how that needs to help reshape the education industry in ways that we probably needed to for a very long time. So if I can, pass on to Ms. Lisa in terms of maybe some of the gaps that you may see.
Sure. There's a couple gaps, I think, in the way we build bridges, I guess. If I think about the education system right now, so for example, for us, we have the business school that's teaching the entrepreneurship and how to start a business from the paper side of things. And then we have the technical programming. And to be honest, most of the entrepreneurs we're working with are the technically skilled individuals who have an idea and can code and build the tech, but they don't know how to run a business or how to sell or how to build a team. And so the gap is this bridge between those two forms of learning. And so, we do our best to connect the technical founder with the business founder and make sure they build a company together. But that's probably not the most efficient way to do this. So I would say building gaps is probably one of the building those bridges is one of the biggest gaps we could probably fix more quickly. And then the students I'm often talking to are frustrated because the content they're being educated on is just so old. The way it's being developed and deployed is just not refreshed frequently enough. And it's almost like the degrees they're getting are teaching them how to study and how to persevere, but they're not giving them the educational pieces that they need to help them with their future careers. So there's definitely benefits, but it's just not fresh enough. It's not forward thinking enough to keep them relevant, never mind in the future, relevant right now, sometimes in some cases.
No, absolutely. So I guess we started off with the 3-word play game. So, maybe we could start closing off the session with another 3-word play. So, I'd open it up to everybody again. So 3 words to inspire startups. We'll start with Dr. Ingrid.
Well, I would say creativity, and you mentioned the World Economic Forum report, so it also showed that creativity will be the number 1 skill, even amongst all those technical skills. So believe in your creativity. 2, never stop learning. I think that's important, to never think that you're done when you want to be an entrepreneur. It's a lifelong learning process. And then 3, I would say resilience. I was told very early on in my career to learn how to take punches and to keep getting up, and that entrepreneurship is like a boxing ring. So I think it's good to expect to be resilient and to never give up, because it's not an easy path always. So those would be my 3.
Absolutely resonate with those words. Ms. Lisa, how about you?
I would say collaboration, which we talked about quite a bit today, is important. Perseverance, certainly. And then I would say, and this might be more towards like Canada or Canadian entrepreneurs, but to think global right off the start. I mean, so often they're building for our market, and there's just simply not enough population to sustain big growth. So thinking, it's a small and big world all at the same time. So making sure to really think global in your market analysis.
Perfect. I love it. Over to Mr. Parsana, your 3 words.
I think, Lavina, thank you so much. I think I run a program called as a Innovation Carnival since last 3 to 4 years, locally, globally. And what I arrive after meeting those around 2,000 plus startups and 30 plus college institutes, talking to them, what I have seen, I go with what Lisa and Ingrid talk about, that there are a lot of gaps. That gaps, like suppose I am a student, and being a student, how do I become entrepreneur? That is never taught with anybody. Although there are specialized courses, it has to be included into education systems. So the 3 words around is that if you really want to become a very good entrepreneur, fail fast. Fail as soon as fast, so that you are ready for another fail or another success. Never say that if I am a failure, I should come out of the journey and be another, take a job or something. I think fail fast is a method, and you should know how to fail fast. by going and okay, I am failing fast, so I am gonna become a very good starter. It's not like that. You should know how to fail fast. After a lot of preparation, you should know your risk, what risk you are taking, how you are failing fast, so that you are ready to learn from those failures and go into the next step. Second word I'll talk about is that build a sustainable innovation, right? Building sustainable innovation for you or for your problem definition. So watch out your society, what are the problems in your society around, and when you study those problems, now you have a capacity or ability to connect those dots, and automatically you will find those Ubers, right? So connecting dot, I want to go from one location to another and I want to order food from Swiggy or those Zomato's kind of app in India. So you will find connecting dots always given a right kind of a innovation. So I think build a sustainable innovation. Don't build a innovation which is for 30-40 years. Build a small innovation which is there for few months or few years, and build a story on top of that, right? So that will be a very good journey for any of those startups. And I go with all of my fellow friends like Lisa and Ingrid: be persistent. Do not have a that never say the attitude should be that I am gonna be winner and I am always a champion. I have started something, let me finish, or let me create that story for everybody. So I think that kind of a persistent kind of approach is there. I would say, or be energetic to be there and always have that fire in belly that I have started and I have to keep on doing it, either with collaboration or with innovation technology. But that never burning attitude has to be there in any of those starter entrepreneurs, because I met any of those starters. I always preach, it's like a journey. Like suppose I met you today, that doesn't mean that our journey ends there by evaluating the startup or selecting the startup. A journey starts from there. Today I have seen some examples in overnight, some of the hackathons, two co-founders coming from two startups joining together and started something else, like, and that's how they have learned from their own failures and brought some another kind of startups. I think there are a lot of word keywords we can really talk about, but I think fail fast is one of those. I will say that's the only keyword I keep on preaching to all of my startups who I meet. So thank you so much, Lavina, for enlightening question.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So just to sum up, I think you guys have spoken a lot around creating the value, and I think they kind of are segmented into some hard skills as well as some soft skills. And they've been really, preparing us for the current as well as the future, taking into account obviously our past and what we've done. So I guess one last sort of request from everyone is I have a sentence that starts with humanity's journey starts with. So if you can just give me a one-liner. So Dr. Ingrid, humanity's journey starts with.
Well, being humble, I think, is a good start.
Awesome. Ms. Lisa?
Thinking beyond your own needs.
Fantastic. And Mr. Parsana?
I think humanity starts with coming together and thinking about everybody around you. Yeah.
So I'd just like to say thank you so much for giving of your time. And this has definitely been quite an interesting one. And just to sum up for everyone, it's all about your purpose, your sustainability, your integrity, all baselined around for better for society. And I think if you can walk away with both those hard skills and soft skills, we've definitely created not only just value, but rather a very large impact to people around us. So thank you very much, and I'll hand back over to Ms. Mishma.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lavina, for that great moderation. And on behalf of GCPIT, I extend my heartfelt gratitude towards Dr. Ingrid, Ms. Lisa, Mr. Prasanna for the great insights, and Ms. Lavina for the great moderation and getting the best out of our panelists today. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. And wishing you all the very best.
Yeah,
and audience, do stay with us. And we're going to come back with a special session with a special guest.